Chapter 1. Haley was going to kill him. Her eyes bore holes into his back as he talked to his friends across the room. How dare he do this to her? Her arms were crossed over her chest. She tried to deny it, but she started to feel the sadness sinking in. He hadn't even had the balls to tell her the big news himself. Instead, she had had to overhear it from his best friends, who were talking a little too loudly at the party after drinking a few too many beers. But if what they were saying was true, she was going to kill Wesley Tanner and bury him where no one would find his ruggedly good-looking body. She circled around the room for a few minutes, trying to calm herself down before she approached him. It was their graduation party, and every senior in their small school was there, partying it up. Everyone was in a chatty mood, so it took her a while to make her way across the room. When she was approached by Hannah, one of her best friends since grade school, she sighed, knowing she was going to be delayed yet again. "Did you hear?" Her friend took her arm and pulled her towards a darkened corner. "Is it true?" "What?" Haley felt like rubbing her forehead. She was sure she was slowly getting a migraine, but since she had never had one before in her life, she couldn't be sure. "Did Wes join the Army?" Hannah asked, looking concerned. Haley didn't know what to say. Should she tell her friend that her best friend and boyfriend since grade school had decided not to share this news with her? It was too much for her to think about. The betrayal was eating at her, so instead, she walked away, heading towards the door and some fresh air. She walked out of the high school gym and headed towards the elementary school playground. Gathering up her long dress, she sat on the swing and removed her sandals. Pushing herself off from the sand, she started to slowly swing. It couldn't be true. Her mind started running through all the scenarios of how she was being punked. Maybe Wes didn't even know what everyone was saying about him? She was about to get up and go find him, to make sure, when she felt his hands on her back. "Want a push?" he asked right next to her ear. She quickly stood up and turned towards him. "Is it true?" she asked, crossing her arms over her chest. He mimicked her stance. "Is what true?" He tilted his head and looked at her. "Did you join the Army? Are you leaving Fairplay for basic tomorrow?" His eyes got big and his smile dropped away. "Haley, listen." But she had turned and started walking away from him quickly. She didn't need to hear him say it. She saw the answer in his eyes. It was written on his face. When he reached for her arm, she yanked it away. "Why?" she shouted at him. "Why am I the last to know?" She didn't care if anyone heard them. He had just ripped out her heart and tossed it aside. "I meant to tell you." He raised his hands to take her arms again, but she pulled away. "Don't." She stepped back. "I've known you all my life. We've never kept anything from one another. Why this? Why now?" "I didn't mean to. I've told you for a few years now that I was thinking about it." "Thinking about it, not doing it." She shoved his chest, sending him back a step. His hands dropped to his side, and she saw his head lower. "I didn't think—" "No, you didn't." She turned and started walking across the softball field. She had always imagined them getting married. They had talked about it, but now... She turned and glared at him as he followed behind her a few steps. "I'm sorry," he said, taking a step towards her. She let him reach out and take hold of her shoulders. The thin straps of her dress did little to prevent the chill that racked through her as she thought about not seeing him every day. "I signed up last week and didn't have the courage to tell you. You know, my father was in the Army, and his father, and his—" He looked down at her and wiped a tear from her cheek. "I guess I didn't know what I wanted to do until last week, until—" He dropped off and looked at her. She knew what he was talking about. Until the scare she had had last week when she thought she was carrying his child. She looked down at her flat stomach and wished she had been pregnant. Maybe then he would have stayed. They could have gotten married, and she'd have everything she'd ever dreamed of. Turning away again, she closed her eyes and wrapped her hands around her arms tightly. "So that's it then? I've scared you away?" she whispered. "No." He came up behind her and pulled her close. "I guess it just made me realize that there's a whole world out there waiting for me." He sighed. "We're too young to think about starting a family." She felt him shake his head. "I just needed to do this." He turned her around again.